But now, we're going to transition right now into you, Professor Roger, as we have the focus, have you had the floor, and have this opportunity to learn more about you and, you know, things you like to do, personal things, even stuff outside of cyber, coffee premises. We got to make sure we get that into. But no, I guess first I'll start off. I know, given your teaching background, I guess what was your I guess what got you started into teaching as pertains to within cybersecurity? What was I guess maybe some motivating factors for that?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so how did I got into cyber? At that time, it was called InfoSec, right? Our company, the company I was working for, right? They ordered these firewalls. There's a new firewall that came out that was revolutionary at that time, right? It was
Right.
called Checkpoint. And Checkpoint would come on these Nokia boxes because Checkpoint at that time didn't have hardware. So you could literally install it on a server, right? But it was installed on these like Nokia 1U kind of router, firewall server kind of thing, right? It looked like a 1U rack server. So they came in, they ordered 10 of them, and they said, I was in networking, and they said, so they figured it was networking. They say, who wants to configure this? I'm like, this firewall. First of all, we was like, what's a firewall? Because at that time, Cisco had what is called an access control list.
Right.
So there was no that word firewall didn't even exist, right? It was called a ACL. Right? You could figure that on a Cisco router. So then so I said, okay, I'll do it. Right. And then my friend, he was working at a school and they needed to run a checkpoint class, and the instructor got sick. So my buddy I knew for years said, hey, why don't you know Checkpoint? Why don't you come teach that class? I'm like, what? I never taught in my life. Like, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? He said, no, no, no. I'll show you how to do it. So we spent nights in his basement. We went over the slides and everything. And he said, don't worry, I'll be in the class with you. Right? So my first class, I was teaching, he was there. 5 minutes, he gone.
Oh
After
wow.
everybody made the instructions and everything, he left. I was just there like,
He's like you on your own.
I guess I guess I go over the slides. I don't know, right? So I know my first class was the worst. I know they wanted their money back probably, but I loved it. I loved that the students reached out to me later and said, "Hey, man, thank you for teaching me that. You really helped me in this," and I really loved that. And I got more into teaching. That's how I got into teaching, right?
Wow.
Um,
So it's more like trial by fire. I mean, I know you were nervous, apprehensive at first, but I mean, going through it and also getting that feedback, that positive feedback to say, hey, I really enjoyed the way you ran the class, and I would assume that gave you the encouragement to say, okay, and there's something here, I can continue to do this.
right, right. And I was like, my PhD is not in cyber. Well, they didn't have PhDs in cyber then. I wish they did. I would have. I wasted my time. you know, you know.
I'm the
What,
opposite. I don't think I'll be doing a PhD in cyber, but I think I'm the opposite. I think the value of seeing somebody in industry teaching the class is a lot higher too, right? Like to your point, your first class might not have been the greatest or whatever you wanted to, but the fact that you were doing a job in networking and then you leveled up
oh
while the
yeah,
students were leveling up, I think that's a great segue to like probably where you are today, right? Like how much of an impact do you think that had for people who took that class and are also in industry today? Like or also might be somewhere else because of that first initial class, seeing somebody in industry teaching for the first time.
yeah, yeah. Well, I was teaching professionals, so
Oh,
they
okay,
was
industry.
already industry.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We was teaching professionals at a college level, and
Got it.
so yeah, so I wish I could have my PhD in cyber, but it wasn't there. I got it in finance, right?
Okay.
But yeah. But one thing about a PhD doctor, you ain't going for another one. You could talk a lot of crap, but you ain't going for another PhD. That's it. It's
No.
done, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm struggling with that. I would love to get a PhD in cyber just to say I have it. I have the experience and the knowledge, but just to say, hey, I got this. But PhD is a lot of work. People don't
Yeah.
know. It's years of work, man, and research. Yeah.
Now, where are some of the different universities you've taught at?
Oh yeah, I taught at Rutgers, NYU. 'Cause I'm from New York, so I taught at Rutgers, NYU. Uh, I taught at Temple.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now what I want to do is teach at an HBCU. I'm from up north, so we
Right.
never. What is that? Like, there's
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
there's
I
none.
know what you mean. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny.
So I said, you know what? I want to teach at one. I want to be a professor at one of those. So.
I think and so even to that recently there is one that established in New York called Medgar
Oh,
Evers. So that was a fairly new one, or
Mega
HBCU.
Evans. Oh, they
Yeah.
just got.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, Mega Evans wasn't when I was a kid,
Right.
Wow,
but
yeah,
that's
No,
good.
yeah, it's fairly new. So I think that's encouraging to see more HBCUs being developed,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's
definitely.
great.
Yeah.
yep, yep.
Okay.
So so as far as like your LinkedIn presence, which you have a strong presence, by the way. Even I think that's how we got connected.
Uh,
But I know some of the things that you currently do. I know you did some work with Kevin Foster. Can you speak a little
mhm.
bit about that?
Yeah, me and Kevin. So I teach these workshops. I want to increase the diversity numbers. Right. I work at a company, and I don't want to mention the company because I don't want them to get credit or any
Right.
free advertisement over me. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
they got to cut the check first. They got
Right,
to cut the
right.
check.
Pull up the duffel bag, put it, leave it outside.
saying? And then I'll mention them. But yeah, so I work at a major software company, and the diversity number is 5%. 5% out of, you know, and they have a workforce of over 200,000.
Mhm.
So, you know, that's to me, that's almost criminal, the numbers, right? It's like something's going on, conspiracy theory level. All
Right.
right. So, I said, let me, use my skill and my experience to find out what is going on, right? What is the barriers on our side so I can remove those barriers. And I found out the barriers are skills, of course, right? Not understanding the industry, right? So our community doesn't understand the cyber. There's no cyber posters and billboards in the hood.
Well, hold on.
Mm.
I'm gonna double back on that for a second. There is no access to. I have to say there is no access to that information in the hood, right? They need to see. Yeah, they need to see us, or they need like the folks on this show, or they need to see a particular pipeline, like us becoming the leaders in those institutions, right?
Right,
Because
right,
if I'm not a
exactly.
hiring manager, it's easy for me to say as a cybersecurity engineer that like there's no access, right? But if I'm a hiring manager, a director, program lead, VP, and I'm speaking to myself too. I'm going full circle on the double back, right? That's how we show them that, from in Mount Vernon, for example, New York, where we're from, to Baltimore, to whatever epicenter you want to pick, that there is a streamlined way into this particular field. Because that's, again, I had devised that myself over 20 some odd years, right? So now that I'm here, I'm stepping my game up too. I'm saying to myself, we got to be able to have that access to the organization and leadership in that organization. So can you
Right.
speak to that? Can you speak to that for a little bit?
Oh, and then also too, like you were saying about that, also in the high schools, there's no introduction of cyber or IT in the
Right.
high schools
Right.
Mm.
either. And that's where it starts. How do you know what you want to do? Usually in high school, they say, hey, you want to do this, you want to do that, right? Career counselor, right? And well, of course, you can't count my high school. I'm old, right? We didn't even have computers in our high school. But
Wow.
you know, but my, I could tell you my daughter's high school and stuff. They didn't introduce cyber to her,
Right. Wow.
right? The only way she knew about cyber because I'm in cyber. But they didn't introduce that to her. They didn't take her on a field trip to Red Hat or IBM or Google or
Right.
so you know that is what's missing. So I want to bring that to the hood, bring the
Perfect.
awareness, bring the skills, bring and also too when you coming from a blue collar job, retail, food service, trucking, nail salon, beauty services, I guess they call, you don't understand about corporate etiquette. You don't know what an email is. You don't know, I mean, you don't know how to
Right.
send a corporate email. You don't know how to
Right.
work in a corporate team, right? You don't understand what a project is. So, those skills have to be taught too. How do you present your findings or report to your management or maybe to executives? Right? How do you do that? Right? Those things I'm bringing by doing workshops, remote. They're free,
Right.
and I have a Discord with all the resources. So, I'm trying to join forces with other African Americans like Joseph, uh, and you guys to for us to show a community, to show that we're in here. That's
Right.
another thing too. I mean, how many black PhDs do y'all know? Like, do regular people know? They know
Right.
black
Yeah.
drug dealers and criminals and, but how many PhDs do they know? Right. So I'm trying to bring that, you know, show that black excellence, right?
No,
Especially in the cyber field.
absolutely. So as you talk about, I know one of the things when we talk about your intro that you love going to conferences. So maybe let's
Yes.
talk about maybe a couple notable ones that you've seen or that you've been to. You could talk about a bit.
Oh yeah, I could talk about the big ones, Red, RSA, Black Hat, right? I'm going to RSA in a couple of months, but the real conferences that you could really learn from experts in an intimate environment is B-sides,
Yes, sir.
right?
I
Mm,
agree.
I'm
A hundred
I'm I'm
percent.
I'm a, I'm organizing for a couple of B-sides. One is B-side Charm, right? So offline, I want to talk to you guys, seeing if we could do something there, right?
Yeah.
And but what B-sides is the same people that talk and present at RSAC or these big cybersecurity conferences of 40, 50,000 people, right? Also talk at B-sides, right?
right.
So the same people that write the books and, write the policies and all that stuff, they are at B-sides, right? So, and that's a good way for especially newbies to get introduced into the community. So
Right.
the cybersecurity, we're a community, right?
Right.
A
Absolutely.
real close community. So that's what I
So
do. So instead of me just being a participant, I'm an organizer also.
no, I think that's amazing. So with all of that, what does Professor Roger do to unwind, to decompress when you're not going to B-sides, when you're not doing the Professor Roger Cyber Lounge? Like, what are you doing in your off time, in your personal time, just to, like I said, to get away from that, to recharge the batteries? Like, what are
Uh,
some of the favorite things you like to do?
uh, Go to sports. I'm going to the Pro Bowl uh, this
Oh,
weekend,
okay.
right?
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Nice.
Next weekend, right?
Yeah.
Go to the Pro Bowl. So travel,
Mm.
stuff like that.
Right.
Um. Yeah, and I think when we spoke last year, I think you said you mentioned you went to Africa as part of one of the
Yeah,
spots you
yeah,
joined.
yeah,
Oh, can
yeah.
you
Went
can you
to
speak to that?
Africa. Huh?
How was that journey? Can you speak to that a little bit? How was that journey going to
Yeah,
Africa?
Africa was like very eye-opening, right?
Mm.
Because here we always considered second class, right? Well, not we always consider, we are second class. We're treated bad here. We're treated
Right.
as second class citizens here, right?
Right.
When you go to Africa, that it's like something lifts off you. It's like a gorilla's off your back, right? And you feel the sun. First of all, the sun is everywhere. You go under the couch or under the bed, the sun is there. Hey, the sun is everywhere there, which is amazing that they don't have solar. They should have solar everywhere. Like there should be no electricity bill in Africa. That's how powerful the sun is, right? The sun is like 12 hours of sun, right? In Africa, right? But but it's good just to see, like, something in you knows you belong here, right? They could say this is not our, Africa is not our homeland or whatever, but when you get there, you feel it. Like, oh wait, this is my homeland, right? You might not know nothing about it, but you feel it. It's a good feeling, right? And it's beautiful. It's not what we're told in the news or the press. There's no huts, right? There's beautiful cities, with, nature is beautiful. I mean, there's animals and birds and stuff. I mean, at night, you hear these sounds. You're like, what the hell is that? It's like you hear these crazy sounds, right? Right? It's beautiful. Africa is beautiful.
So,
I mean, I've been to Tanzania. It was a beautiful country.
Tanzania. Okay, nice. So I understand you like drones.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into drones. The funny thing about drones, you spend all this money, right? $500-$600 to get a good drone, right?
Right.
I got a DJI drone, right? Not a high powered one, just the middle of the road one, and I was like close to 1,000. And then when you fly it, you're scared because if you crash this, like if you lose the drone, because the drone is up like hundreds of feet, right? You can barely even see it. So yeah, that's the only thing funny about drones. But yeah, I love it, man. It's great.
Do you have to be licensed for the DJI?
No. I bought just below the ones that you need to be licensed for.
Right, and why that particular drone? Did you like that? Like, would you consider building your own, or how does that work? Like, why DJI?
No. That drone DJI company, right? Is real good, especially for beginners, right?
Yeah,
they make excellent drones because you can buy a $40 drone, and that's exactly what you're going to get. $40 worth of drone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But for you to be able to do anything worthwhile and have a good camera, and you need a decent drone.
Have you seen the drone racing league videos? Have you seen those?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that for years. Like, well, we should partner up on that and see if we can race the league.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm still learning how to fly it up and down, how to land a drone. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's great.
When it comes to coffee, what's your daily driver? Well, first, do you even like coffee? And if so, like, what's your daily driver?
My wife drinks coffee, so I drink it, but I'm not a coffee connoisseur, like,
Not yet.
I can't between the summer solstice,
Right.
And a full moon is the best coffee beans. No, I can't say that.
Right. So you're more like a tea drinker, or you just?
I like tea too, but I'm not like really into it. I drink it, but I drink anything. It's not like I have a real favorite coffee.
Gotcha.
How about you?
Me myself. So, well, you already know. I mean, coffee's in the name of the show. But
it's the fuel.
Yeah, from my daily driver is an Americano. So if I'm going to like a I do
Oh,
like to support like local coffee shops as opposed to like the big like Dunkin' or
like
or
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Those are more like if I'm in a pinch or and somewhere unfamiliar, then because
Right.
you're always going to see Starbucks and Dunkin', wherever you go. But
Everywhere.
try and find the mom and pop, some good like mom and pop coffee shops. I try to find those 'cause I think they put more effort into it. But I go for like an Americano.
I
Maybe
like
time
that.
to time out. Yeah, I might treat myself to a latte, but that's not every day. For one, it's too expensive, and I don't like a lot of foolishness in my coffee. That
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
cream and sugar. I always go black. So, but Alfredo, I know Alfredo has a crazy coffee order.
Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah, you love
I'm
coffee?
oh yeah, I'm the one that's tracking the moon, the wind speed. I have a dedicated latte machine that I haven't even unpacked yet. But my go-to now, I'm trying to get out to a shop called Zeke's Coffee out in Towson, Maryland.
Mm,
They're pretty. I haven't been over there in a minute, but I usually stop by them. There's also another brand that I use. Yeah, like Joseph. I also try to figure out my limit with different local breweries. So where I used to live, there was one called Blanchard's. They had something called Darkest Dark. And so I'm trying to incorporate that now into making my own espresso or latte now.
okay.
I'm not there yet, but I am tracking on. I'm one of those guys you're talking about, like until I get it right, the right exact temperature, the right milk froth, whatever.
Yes.
I'm not gonna open the machine. I'm sitting here like with the manual trying to figure it out. And then my go-to is either triple or quad shot Americano, and I do put like 3 sugars in the raw in it, just 3 sugars in the raw. And that's my go-to. Even if I go to Starbucks, like I just dial into that, and I'm anywhere else I try to find the equivalent.
Right. Have you guys ever tried French press?
Yes, I have two.
Yes.
I own two right now.
Okay,
Wow.
I own,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's like
I have the Bompton one, the big. You'll see it's like a breaker, type glass, tempered glass, and then I have
uh,
this big one that can make like 8 cups of coffee. I forgot the brand though,
oh
but yeah, I
yeah.
do. And
French press can only make like what, 2 cups of coffee, maybe.
yeah, but I have this ginormous like
And the big
cistern. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could show you
that's
it.
crazy.
Yeah, but the French press, and then there's another one too. Not the Turkish one. It's a drip coffee. I can't remember the name. I haven't gotten into that though.
Okay,
So as we get ready to close, I did have one last question. And maybe this will be very beneficial to our listeners as well. When it comes to books, like what are some of your maybe book recommendations, or maybe some of your favorite books? But yeah, like what would you share to the customers? I mean, customers, listeners
yeah,
out there. Some good book recommendations.
yeah. A good book. I like Kevin Mitnick's books.
Oh yes,
Right.
Mm,
yeah,
Believe it or not, I think he's, him personally, I think he's a con man, but which he really is. But his books are very good, in breaking down the psychology of social engineering. I think that's very important for people to see the mindset of a phishing and the mindset overall of a social engineer, right? A
right.
hacker that uses that technique. He really breaks that down. He has a strategy and a methodology and all that. I, I think that's good for someone to understand that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Outside of the CERT books and all that, I think Kevin Metnick's Art of Deception book is pretty good, right?
Yeah, rest in peace to him too. He was a great
Yeah, rest
author.
in peace.
Have you read Ghost on the Wire by any chance? I think it's called
Yeah,
Ghost on the
Ghost
Wire.
on the Wire,
Yeah,
Ghost
that's the one.
in the Wire,
Yeah,
Ghost on the Wire.
I think it's Ghost in the Wire. Ghost in the
Yeah,
Wire is the good one by yeah, that's the one I own. I agree. He's a good author. He's a great author.
yeah.
Nice.
And one thing good is I recommend everybody to get a Kindle Fire, right? And look for these books in PDF form. There's a lot of websites out there, right? Get a Kindle Fire. 8 inch is good because you could take it anywhere, right? 8 to 10 inch. I wouldn't get no
Right.
more than 10. But and you could take that wherever you want, and you can have thousands of books on it,
Yeah.
thousands of books, and it doesn't even blink, right? 32 gigs is like the minimum. 32 gigs is like, like the Library of Congress, right? So that's what I suggest for all the new techies, right?
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
So do you?
because you can't carry these books, you can't carry all these books to work, right? But your Kindle, you could bring that in a server room with you. You could bring that, you know, from the 5th floor to the 3rd floor. You can always have that on you. That's how I learned. I, you know, keep all that information on me just in case I have to reference it on the
Now, if you're in
fly.
a skiff, you're gonna have to bring those physical books. You can't bring
Yeah, that's
the electronic.
you know. No,
but
I was
I
about
get
to
what you're
say that.
saying.
I was about to say that too.
And sure.
Do you prefer the technical books digital, or how do you? Because I can't seem to. I'll read a technical book on the Kindle, but I usually use it for like nonfiction. Or do you do that for all genres that you read?
Yeah, all books. Yeah. I transitioned. It was a little transition because, you know, we come from books,
Right,
paper,
right, yeah.
right? There was no tablets when I went to high school.
Mhm.
There was no tablets or iPads or Kindles. There was none of that.
Right.
So, you know, we had plain books with a highlighter. Right?
A
Yeah.
But now
bookmark a book with
today,
another book.
yeah, yes, exactly. You had to bring 3 books because and them tech books are like, you know, when I first got into tech, those tech books were so expensive. I used to go to Barnes and Nobles and just read them there.
Read 'em.
You
Yeah,
I'll
I
read
know?
them at the store.
yeah, absolutely. I did that too. I'm not gonna front, especially when you see
Yeah.
the price. You see the price. You sit at their coffee shop and read like a third of it. You know.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's good.
gosh.
That's cool that you did that too, man.
That's
Yeah.
a hack right there. That's a
Right,
life
that
hack
is
right
that
there.
is. When you see $150 book, hold on, I'm gonna read about $50 of this book
Yeah.
right here.
I'm gonna camp out here today.
Oh yeah, that's what I used to
Oh,
do.
no, this is good. Yeah, so as we get ready to close, I guess Professor Roger, thank you for coming through, and any last words for our listeners before we close out?
Yeah, so anyone getting into cyber, there are resources out there. Before you spend money, there are a lot of free resources out there. There's a lot of people like me out there that are sharing their experience for free, right? Hook
Mhm.
up with Dr. Joseph has a Discord study hall, which is excellent. I have a Discord called Professor
Okay.
Roger Cyber Lounge, right? Join our communities, right? Me and Dr. Joseph, our communities are kind of linked together, kind of
Right.
merged
Yeah.
right together. Join our communities, right? So that way we could give you the resources and the skills you need without breaking your bank, right?
Absolutely.
Cyber
Absolutely.
Coffee Hour will have a Discord work in progress.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a wrap. Thank you everyone for tuning in to the Cyber Coffee Hour. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And follow us on all of our platforms. You can find the Cyber Coffee Hour on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple
Mm.
Podcasts. That's it. That's a wrap. Have a great one. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you.
Peace.